You know you should be doing marketing, but is it even clear what marketing is? This is the Kawartha Small Business Podcast, and we've got business conversations for the Kawartha commute. I'm Brian Rump from U Group.
I'm Matt Garrity from Matt AG Digital.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about what even is marketing. I think marketing is one of those terms that we hear a lot. It's not really a buzzword. It's sort of a foundational word, but it just means so many different things. I think everybody will jump to what they maybe think marketing is, but when you start having a discussion with people in marketing, it clearly sort of quickly becomes a whole bunch of different things. So, Matt, maybe tell us a bit about what marketing is for you,
Yeah,
what you think it means.
I think people assume that I only care about digital marketing, which is not actually true. I believe that traditional marketing and digital marketing need to kind of work together. But ultimately, even above that, I think marketing is anything that represents your brand and company. So it could be traditional marketing like billboards and radio ads and TV ads, magazine, newspaper ads, any sort of collateral you have, like pamphlets, brochures, binders. I'm having a hard time thinking of other collateral because you do not often see too many of those anymore. It is things like digital marketing though. So anything from Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, Instagram ads, email marketing, getting found on Google with content, whether it be copy on your website of pages like blogs, service pages, location pages, could be videos, getting found on search engines like Bing, social media marketing on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter. It's your website. It's the photography on your website and social media. It's your brand and logo as well. Ultimately, too, you have to think about your name being part of your marketing. It's literally anything that represents your brand and company. And I think there's even things we don't even consider, like signage out on the store, if you have a store. So that could lead to your brand as well. It could be even, I think this is a huge one, is customer service as well, is like a huge part of your marketing, how you represent yourself in the store. And for people in Kawartha Lakes, this is something that is always in the top of my mind. It's how you present yourself in the community from a hygiene perspective, from a dress perspective. It might sound silly, but I don't know if I ever go out in public around Lindsay anymore and I don't run into at least one person that I know, whether it's personally or professionally. And honestly, it's probably like top three most frustrating things from a small business perspective in a small town. A lot of
Oh,
pros and cons,
yeah,
but like it's one of
yeah.
my biggest cons is I can't just roll up to the Lindsay Farmers Market on a Saturday morning in my track pants and uncombed hair and all that kind of stuff. I gotta kind of put myself together, which might sound funny to people that may have seen me, wondering if that's how I look put together. But
I feel like this is a personal attack on my my attire.
But I think about that all the time. Like anytime I'm in boiling over, like I got to make sure I'm looking appropriate because you'll never not see a business owner from Kent Street down there as well. So it's not just digital marketing. It's not just the pamphlets and the brochures. It's not just your website. It's every little detail that represents you and your company.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that this conversation about just breaking down all the elements of marketing. So I've at Fleming College taught marketing applied projects to upper year marketing students, and I sometimes start off the very first class with this question, and everyone sort of looks at you strange because they think everyone thinks they know sort of what marketing is at that point. But then when you start digging in, you get things like strategy, the fundamentals of marketing, of like the 4 P's. So the 4 P's are your product, place, price, promotion. There's sales, there's copywriting, there's graphic design. You talked about different types of ads and advertising. I find some people think, oh, marketing's just ads or advertising, but that's just kind of one element even of promotion,
Yeah.
which is hard. So we have our product design, we have research, we have SEO, social media, video content, sales funnel management, customer relationship management, psychology, lots of psychology involved, economics. I like to say marketing is economics in action. Um, websites, email marketing, direct mail, communications. There's data analytics, collateral. You mentioned collateral, which is a fun word as well that I used to not understand. That collateral meant just your stuff. There could be things like gifting,
Yeah, that's a good one.
customer just identification and targeting. So, you have a list, I have a list. We've probably missed a whole bunch of things, but if you're a small business owner and you think, oh, I should be doing marketing, you don't always realize it's all of these things uh, together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I usually get the conversation where it starts with, "Hey, I need to do marketing," and marketing is social media right away. It's the first thing people think about. So it's kind of funny to see, like, yeah, both of our lists here. I missed a few that you've got here. Like, even events are a good one. Trade shows to show people that you're out there, to show people that you're relevant. Like, those trade shows are super important over at
And
the Lex and
yeah,
Lindsay, right?
and there's some industries where like trade shows is almost all of what they do. Like I, used to work in getting grants, and a lot of the international grants for manufacturers were about
Yeah.
accessing markets and trade shows. And I've been to trade shows where people are spending, $250,000 just to get there and
Wow.
bring their stuff there. So big manufacturing, and it is neat. You go to the big trade show halls, and people will have like a whole, one of the neatest things I saw was like a line of like machinery that made hamburger patties, and they had this like fake clay hamburger that they kept running, sort of dropping in one end of the machine and coming out the other packaged, and then they sort of tear it apart and run it through again. But they were, huge amounts of money go into that, and to getting your clients there in that room so that you can like sell them on it. So that's just one example in some industries where that's really important, but it might not be important to you in something else. So you've got to figure out, which of these activities you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more I'm thinking about this, and I have the advantage of having your list in front of me, is like I said originally, marketing's anything that represents your brand and company. But when you start to look at all of these little bullet points that I have, that you have, and you put them together, marketing is more so the path at which people take to ultimately end up at a sale. And it doesn't need to just be an ad. It's more than that. It's like you said, customer service, it's the sales process, it's the thank you cards and all these things. It's every little detail that will encourage someone to ultimately purchase from you.
Yeah, and that's really what it's all about, right? It's about sales. It's not about entertaining people or making them, feel nice. I mean, that's all stuff is great and you might need to do it, but it's about that sale. And to make that sale, you have to, solve a problem. So your product or service has to, at the end of the day, solve somebody's problem and make their life better. And then they have to know about it. So there's all these sort of wheels that are in motion, or gears, that all work together to start bringing you in your sales,
Yeah,
keep your
absolutely.
business
Do you think marketing will be your best salesperson in a way?
going. I mean, the marketing to me, I mean, there's like the overall strategy, and it really maybe is in terms of, overall you need it. It's like the engine of an airplane. If you have something that's amazing but nobody knows about it, you're
Mhm.
not going to make any money, right? You have to, you need marketing for anyone to even know it. And sometimes you might not realize what marketing is. Um, because you could get lucky. You could have a great location, which is part of marketing. People could
Sure.
just drive by and see sort of out front what you're doing and pull in and figure it out on their own. Or you could have to put a lot more effort into helping people understand what it is you do and how your life gets better. So marketing to me is business.
Mm.
Again, marketing is economics and action. Economics studies a lot of things like human behaviors, but a lot of it's about maximizing your utility, balancing unlimited wants with your scarce resources. So everyone's competing you know, to sell stuff and to make money. So you just like marketing, it, you just need it. Like it's fundamental to a business. Like I think it's number one, maybe in terms of you open a business, you need to have marketing. um, I'd say number two is sort of finance because you need money to pay for marketing and manage, what's coming in versus what's, going out and building your business. But, marketing starts with, the four P's. One of them's product. So like almost even before you design your product or service, like that's kind of part of your marketing exercise.
Right. Absolutely. And like you said, marketing is something you need. In some ways, it just always exists. Like your product exists. Your customer service should just exist. Your signage, like it's all there. You don't even really need to try. What you do need to try to do is legitimate, like traditional or digital marketing. That's the one that, honest, I am obviously coming from a point of bias, but there needs to be something there to build that brand awareness, to introduce your product or your service to people, like at a bare minimum.
Yeah. So yeah, it's there, exists, it grows. I like the idea you use the word bias there. So one of the things that fascinates me as someone who I wouldn't consider myself a marketing professional. I love some of the strategic stuff about marketing. I love how all the gears and stuff work together. But one of the things I've learned is that you hire someone from marketing, they're going to have a specific skill, um, or they're going to have a skill in a handful of all these things we've talked about.
Mhm.
But there's not going to be one person who's great at all of them. And they're all going to be a little bit biased. So,
Yeah.
you mentioned you have a bias. So maybe tell me about, what are the things that you focus on,
Yeah,
maybe as a
absolutely.
business, and where some of your biases lie.
Well, it's funny you say that, that no one is going to be good at everything, and I'm definitely not going to tell you that I am good at everything. But I do kind of take an approach of wanting to touch as many different, let's say, avenues of or tactics of digital marketing as possible. I think that goes more to my ability to plan and strategize digital marketing. And that's probably my forte, is like overall strategy and planning of this is what needs to be done and why, from a very common sense, let's say simple perspective. A year and a half ago when I started doing what I was doing, I hadn't actually executed most of the tactics myself that I had been talking about or I knew that were important. So, social media management, I had never, ever, ever, I don't think, written a post, even designed a post, definitely had never scheduled a post. Created Facebook ads, created LinkedIn ads. I'd worked with Google ads. I'd never really done any sort of SEO other than some like keyword stuff on the page, and that was about it. Maybe some content strategy. So a lot of it was a learning experience and kind of understanding like what is it that I like to do, can get better at, what am I adding value to? And that's sort of where I step back, where I realize, again, with my common sense, simple approach, I think, to things, there are certain tactics beyond me like telling people this is the plan, this is the strategy, where I'm not adding value to it. I actually don't believe that I add much value from a social media perspective anymore. from writing descriptions or even doing the images, or certainly not scheduling the stuff. Like that's just a lot of copy pasting, button mashing stuff. What I excel at with social media management is the strategy, high level, like what are we talking about this month? Why? In what order? So we're not just constantly posting 12 testimonials a month, or we're
Yeah.
posting pictures of people drinking coffee every single day, or what socks they're wearing. Um, that's where I come in with all this expertise, is the high level strategy for all this stuff. So high level strategy for ads, getting found on Google and social media.
Awesome. Yeah, I think some good points there that you talked about is like having that overall strategy, and I think that's where marketing is, important as part of growing your business is
Mhm.
deciding what are those things you're going to focus on. I think too, knowing that of all these things we've talked about, depending on what your business is, you might need to be amazing and have the expert of experts for one or two of them. But for a lot of the elements, you might just need to make sure they're okay or average or even, below average. So as you sort of run through each one and make decisions on each one, sometimes that's just an easy decision, or you find someone that can help you with that. um,
Yep.
but it's being able to balance all of that, and at the end of the day, really it's the small business owner who's in charge
Yep.
of all of these things. And I think it's definitely helpful to have some advisors who sort of run the gamut between all of them. But being able to decide which are the ones that are going to give you the maximum results right
Yeah.
away. And that's the hard part, where, there's going to be bias with the service providers, because the service providers usually will trend you into what their service is. Uh,
Absolutely.
and they're usually not wrong. They usually can help you, but maybe do you have the other elements you need to support those areas?
Absolutely. Yeah. They're going to put you down a path that makes sense to them. And ultimately, it will work and make sense for you. Because, like Google tells us, people interact with a brand 12 times before they reach out to you. So
Yeah,
that's on Google, in the map section, below maps, Google Ads, that's Facebook, that's Instagram, that's looking at a review, that's looking at a brochure. It's all these different things. And ultimately, we all need to be hitting all of those different, you call them channels. I'm trying not to use that word. It's not a buzzword, but it's like a technical term. But realistically, we need to use all those tactics. But being small business owners, we don't have unlimited resources. So we need to be mindful of what makes the most amount of sense for me right now, based
yeah,
on my budget or what all my goals are ultimately. And when you have it's not limited resources, but when you have set resources, like most slash all of us small business owners have,
everybody has limited
yeah, like
resources.
we can't just go down whatever path the person we're working with wants us to go down. So maybe
Yeah,
social media isn't the right thing for you, but if that person only does social media, that's what they're going to tell you is the most important thing. If
yeah,
that person does search engine optimization, SEO, getting found on Google, and that's all they do, they might want you to do that. And that SEO doesn't make sense for some people. Like if it's a new industry or a brand new product and there's no one searching for it, you can't get found for something that no one is searching for.
yeah.
So that's why it makes some sense to be able to work with. I'm trying not to just sell myself now. I kind of just caught myself, but like
Shameless self promotion.
you need to be able to work with someone that is able to sort of like touch on everything, or at least put you in that direction, because otherwise you're going to get sent down a path that makes most sense for the agency and not for yourself.
Yeah, and I think it's important too to have someone who's general, or at least admits maybe there's things that they can't do or are good at. I would guess that if I wanted a billboard, you might be able to help me figure out how to get my stuff on a billboard more than I do, because honestly, I have no idea how to do that. But I don't think your business is out there selling people on billboards. And I have met people who that's what they do, and they're out hustling, trying to get everyone to realize, hey, you need to be on a billboard. And, not to pick on billboards, but they're great for certain types of businesses and certain strategies. But if you're a brand new business starting up, you might not want to spend a couple grand a month on a couple billboards when you could be putting that money into something, you know, that probably is going to get you a lot more results.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And not again, not to pick on billboards or traditional marketing, but traditional marketing, you don't have a lot of targeting with it. And you're locked in to usually like longer engagements on minimum spends. And like the spends are like astronomical, in my opinion, for the same price of like any sort of digital marketing tactic, to be honest with you. If you were going to take that money from print ad or billboard and put it into something digital, like digital marketing is targeted. You can get like highly targeted ads or highly targeted social media in some senses, versus everyone that drives by your billboard. There's not too many businesses out there that everyone need. I
Yeah.
joke that grocery stores might be the only non-niche business in the world. T-shirts, because everyone wears t-shirts too. But like something like fast food, not everyone likes burgers. My wife is lactose intolerant, and we have a billboard outside her house for Dairy Queen. She ain't going to Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that most businesses are actually niche. Beyond like groceries, everyone wears shirts. Not
Yeah.
everyone needs a home. Like people that live in rent apartments, they buy condos. Like even that's not for everybody.
Yeah, everyone is. And that's what I love too about digging into things like data analytics, the psychology, behavioral economics. There's all those elements as well of just how to position your message, who your market is, like all of these elements that then you can figure that out and use the tools like social media SEO or other things to get your message just in front of those people. So knowing all of these things, it's hard to be the expert in all of them. And there's the other thing that I love about this is there's no right answer,
Yeah,
right? If there was
true.
one person that was amazing at marketing, everyone would just follow what that is and do it. But we have, you know, marketing is one of those neat industries where, small towns, big cities, there's a lot of agencies, there's a lot of professionals doing slightly different things. Um, and I think it is one of those industries that's always going to be around in one way or another because we're always, competing, finding new ideas, figuring stuff out, trying things, failing a lot.
Absolutely.
So it's fascinating.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm the best marketer in the world. I don't even know. I don't think I'm the best marketer in Kawartha Lakes. I think I'm maybe above average, and that's more than adequate. And I tell people almost every time we talk about a tactic, like specifically like getting found on Google or like social media too, if you ask 10 different marketers that question, you're going to get probably 10 different answers. And it all
Yeah.
depends on their own methodology and how they've had success and how they believe things work. And you need to find that right fit with them personality wise and goal wise and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of it's about fit, figuring out, what your brand is, how you want to act, and a plan that makes sense and try it out. So
absolutely.
awesome. Any other thoughts on sort of just what is marketing?
I think the last thing I would leave people with is challenging them to think outside of the traditional or digital marketing box when it comes to marketing. So think more about those things you don't always consider. So your elevator pitch too, when you're telling people at boiling over in line, like, hey, this is what I do. Or then you hand them your business card. What does your business card look like? Is it muddled with a bunch of stuff that no one knows ultimately what they're supposed to do next? Take a look at your signage. There's a lot of great new modern stylish signs going up on Kent Street. So you've got like Old Mill, primitive candles, rustically signed, unwrapped. Like those signs are transforming the downtown of Lindsay. So start to consider those things when it comes to marketing. Your customer service, I cannot emphasize this enough, is probably one of the biggest marketing hurdles, I'd say, in Kawartha Lakes. Like making sure that you have good customer service. Everyone thinks that they have good customer service. I would challenge every single person that says that they have the best customer service to that question. I'll go in your
Yeah.
store and I will challenge that. And then last but not least, like this sounds so silly, but we are a small town. We are a small community. You go to Fenelon Falls, you go to Bobcaygeon, you go over to Peterborough. People are going to recognize you, especially if your face is plastered all over social media or a billboard, for instance, too. Like you need to be able to present yourself accordingly across
Yeah.
the community. So that sounds silly again, but it's gotten to the point for me where like I just have to be comfortable wearing whatever. Like I don't dress up for meetings. I'm not wearing the khakis and the button down collared shirt that's tucked in. I show up to meetings like sometimes with a golf shirt, often now with a t-shirt and shorts, because that's just who I am and that's who you're going to see on the street. And you got to remember that, because that's how people are going to see you around like a small community, at the grocery store, at an event, at like anywhere around the community, is making sure you're presenting yourself well.
So what you're saying is we need some Kawartha Small Business Podcast sweatpants uh,
Yes.
that we can
Track
wear
suits.
around. So if there's any prospective sponsors out there in the sweatpants business
Yeah.
who want to hook us up with some free swag,
Yeah.
definitely do that.
I would love a like magento or burgundy tracksuit, like head
That's
to toe tracksuit, like an old school like 90s Reebok soprano style tracksuit.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I don't think there's a better way to end an episode like that. Thanks everyone for listening. If you want to talk more about this, I think we would absolutely love to have a conversation with you about your marketing. So reach out to us and we will set it up.